Mr. Elder, the man, the myth, the legend. How we doing, buddy?
Good. How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing well.
Love it.
So, for everybody who knows me but doesn't know Nick, Nick is an amazing investor relations officer at Ironton Capital. I used to work with him at Ironton Capital, and I've moved on to run an IR team at another firm at Property Llama Capital. Nick's running the Ironton Capital investor relations team. Awesome dude, awesome brain, and has an awesome deal. Nick, tell us about it.
Absolutely. So do you want me to share my screen real quick?
Yeah, would you please?
Yep.
And Nick, where do we find you today? You're a world traveler. Are you in town? Or are you in some exotic location?
No, I am in town, but I got
Okay.
back on Sunday from the Netherlands for a couple days. So
Okay.
yeah, but that's it.
You're always either doing deals in Denver or around the country or out somewhere exotic. So I'm living vicariously through you right now.
Trying to live it up while I can. One day I won't be able to. So cool, man. So here, can you see my screen all right?
Yeah.
Perfect. So here's where we're at. So the Dean, this is the project that we're calling it. It's in Fayetteville, Arkansas, which is in the northwestern Arkansas region. Really, that whole entire market's kind of considered northwestern Arkansas, Fayetteville, up to Bentonville, and Springdale as well. Bentonville, home of Walmart. The whole northwestern Arkansas region is home of Walmart, Tyson Foods. There's another company, I'm blanking on the name of it. Through a lot of our due diligence, we've learned that the northwestern Arkansas market is also looking to be the medical mecca of the United States. So there's going to be a ton of job growth coming in. The Walton family has poured in an unbelievable amount of money to make this whole region what it is. They've named it the mountain biking capital of the world. They put trail systems. You've got Ozark National Forest. So it's this awesome location, but it's also this outdoorsy paradise in an area that you otherwise kind of wouldn't expect. And from us being from Colorado, we know that that's important to a quality of life and where we live, right?
Yeah, I have seen and watched those. I'm a mountain biker to a degree. I'm more of a dirt biker now once I got a motorcycle, but I have watched them develop those mountain bike trails from Bentonville to Fayetteville. And it's incredible. And,
it's amazing,
and I know guys in Colorado, when it snows here, the hardcore mountain bikers I know, when it snows here, they go there, they go to Bentonville, right? Or just is Bentonville north of Fayetteville?
It's 30 minutes north. Of this property in particular. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And so another thing we really like about Bentonville, there's a ton of investment opportunity there. When I talk to folks such as yourself and others that we have a property under contract in this market, their eyes open, they're excited, and they're almost in a way envious because they're also trying to get deals in this market. So it's really cool because we almost kind of accidentally stumbled upon it, if you will. So we're very excited, and just seeing the overall reactions to other investors and operators that are trying to get into it just continues to validate why we want to be in this market. And so we love it. The property itself, and I'm just, I'll go into a little bit more on this, but it is less than 2 miles away from the University of Arkansas campus, which is massive. And then they just built a new almost $40 million police station almost directly across the street. So there's a lot of development going on that road and on that street. It's right next to a brand new renovated apartment complex that's beautiful, Willow Park Apartments. So there's a lot going on around it. And this property was self-managed and is, if you will, the ugly duckling of the bunch in the area. So it's a great property, and we're really excited to be a part of it. Yep.
I tell you, let me tell you what I know. I know of the Razorbacks, right? Yep. And the Razorbacks might as well be the Broncos in that the Razorbacks are to that part of Arkansas what the Broncos are to Denver and Colorado. Yeah. It's a big deal. And I know that Arkansas is a very landlord-friendly state. Can you fill me in on that?
Yeah, it's the complete opposite of like how things are here. Now how things are tracking here in Colorado. If you want to evict somebody and they're on housing assistance, you're gonna have to go through this rigorous process to do so. You're gonna have to pay for their court fees, and if you have a tenant that's not paying, before you know it, you might be 6 months into this, thousands of dollars, all your cash flows wiped out, and you still have a tenant living in your property not paying. That is the complete opposite case of what it is in Arkansas. So these red states are very landlord friendly. It could be a pretty quick process. the beauty of this project is everybody's month to month. So we have the ability to give them the notice without waiting for a lease to expire. So
Every
that's
single
one
lease is
thing.
month to month. Every single one.
All but two leases. One lease is up in March of next year, so we'll be able to renovate a good chunk of this property. We may even be able to take that one tenant and maybe discuss with them about moving into a brand new unit, but at a higher rate. So it's just going to kind of be how we deal with that. So a year from now, we might have one or two units that need yet to be leased up, but the whole entire exterior will be renovated and everything else will be renovated on the interior as well, minus maybe two units.
How many doors total on this one?
So this one's 25 units. I'll jump up a slide here. 25 units. Value add, of course, built in 1981.
Okay, nice.
Yep. So a little bit about the sponsor team. So you've got myself. You've met Joey Schneider, Meredith Schneider, husband and wife, obviously. Joey does some work with Ironton Capital as well, and he is the CEO of our company. He's had some fix and flip experience himself. Him and his wife Meredith own a bunch of rental properties. Meredith ran and operated her own physician practice in Lubbock, Texas, before she sold those and before they moved to Colorado. So Joey's full time on this. Meredith, she's pretty much part time at her job. So the three of us are putting in a lot of effort and work into this as well. And then we've got Arthur Johnson. He's done a lot of fix and flips himself, more in the Oklahoma area, but he's going to kind of be our boots on the ground along with our stellar property management team that we have locked in as well. So cumulatively, we've done 20 plus fix and flips. We have, like I said, Meredith has built, successfully operated, and sold 2 optometry practices. Us collectively own several single family rental properties, some duplexes, mostly out of state, one in Denver, but mostly Florida and Texas. We've got a good track record of performing well on those. And then you know me from Ironton Capital, of course. Like I said, Joey's been working at Ironton Capital. Collectively, we have I have a lot of experience being not only a limited partner, but kind of operating in some capacity from raising capital to somewhat on a GP side in the bulk of our private equity funds since they've been open to the public. And we've raised about 15 million so far in 2022. So I've learned a lot from the team at Ironton Capital, very financially sophisticated and experienced individuals. And I'm looking forward to taking that into my GP deal here in Northwest Arkansas.
Yeah, you're rubbing elbows with Lon and Vital and Brent and Terrence and since I've known you, I mean, I've seen you get better at this, LP, GP, private equity, real estate, apartment building. I see you get better at this every day. And I'm not just blowing smoke, man. You have, it's just been really cool to watch, right? It's been really cool to watch, really impressive. And now you kind of your own sweet deal. And I tell you, I'm interested. Of course, there's no investment advice coming from me or you right here. We're just, just talking, just doing a sniff test. And obviously people who want to watch us and want to get a hold of you, you're pretty easy to get a hold of. But let's tear into, let's dive deeper. Give it to me. Let's get into some numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to cut through some of this because I already highlighted it. But one thing I wanted to point out in the investment overview here, we're looking at about $120,000 available in additional annual rental income post renovations. Okay. So the current rents are around 646 on average. So 24 of those 25 units are identical, 2-bed, 1-bath, 783 square feet. There is a second unit, or the last unit, the 25th unit, is 1,000 square feet that's being rented at $500 a month. So there's going to be plenty of upside potential on that one, and we'll probably even be able to get above the 1050 that we originally projected on that unit specifically. But if you look on everything on average, we're looking at 120,000 just in annual rental income, which comes to about an average of $400 per unit increase on each unit. So the GC that we're working with has a great reputation here. The property management company that we've solidified, they typically only do 100 doors or more, but they've agreed to work with us. Her and the GC have a great relationship, and they work together on a lot of deals, and they're able to get product and supply at discounts that other GCs that we spoke with were not able to. So we're very excited to work with this bunch.
How did you
But the
find
goal,
them? Give me a sense.
yeah,
How'd some Colorado boys find them?
referrals. You go to Arkansas, and a lot of Joey and Meredith are from Lubbock, Texas. You have ties to West Texas, and we talked about this at a breakfast. It's the good old boys. You know somebody, you work with somebody, they like that maybe you're from there. So we try to really leverage that. We're not from Arkansas, but if we can align ourselves with people that are associated with each other in that kind of aspect, that's what we really wanted to do. And so we
Yeah.
really wanted to make sure there was a GC PM kind of relationship, just because there's almost more relationship accountability there, which we really liked. We got those referrals from the brokers that we know very well there. So that's what we really want to do, rather than just asking and trying to interview 10 different property managers. We said, give us the best, who works the best, who's got the best relationship, and we wanted to work with them. And that's how we approached it.
Yeah, and Joey is the kind of the construction manager on the flip projects, right? So is he managing the GC and he's going there? How often is he going there or how often does he plan to go there and manage this remodel?
We'll be going. Our plan is once a month, and we'll maybe stay there for 3 to 4 days at a time. And that's why we really wanted to get a very good property manager who knows the GC very well and find a good GC. And that's why we wanted to get a boots on the ground as well. And so that'll be a lot of Arthur's role, but we'll be going there ourselves quite a bit too,
Okay.
because we want to be as much as I guess as foot on the ground as possible. And we want this to just we want to blow past LP returns on this, and so we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can on that project to do so.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So Arthur is the guy who's going to manage the GC or manage the manager. Obviously, you want the idea that the manager and the GC are buddies and they've done deals together and work together is huge. And of course, as a GP, you got to manage them. So kind of your initial boots on the ground is Arthur, and then you and Joey, and Joey's the got most of the construction history between you two, right?
Yeah, him and Meredith have done very well just on some fix and flips, and they've got a great knowledge around just everything that goes about it. Everything from just like, this is the finish we should use, and of course we're consulting a lot with the property manager. They're very much involved in this process, so we're bouncing ideas off them, and they know what works very well in this market. Whether we need black or white appliances to get X rent. So we're very much involved with them and having that conversation too, as we learn more and more about the market on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. So of course we'll complete a cost segregation study before the end of 2023. The plan is there's 3 separate buildings on this plot of land. So the plan is to vacate one building at a time, do the exterior in the first 45 days, and then complete the interior as well on that building. And then we'll move on to the next and lease up that building that we just finished at the new rents. So that is strategy A that we like to move forward with. That way we've got income coming in as we're going through this value add process. And Law had another strategy that we are contemplating, just because I'm a partner in that single drive apartments I mentioned. Another strategy we're contemplating is vacating everybody, cranking this out, finishing it even more quickly, and then leasing up everybody at the new rents on a brand new renovated apartment complex. So those are the 2 strategies we're toying with. We like the first one because of the income that's coming in, but we're considering the second one at this time as well.
I'd love to hear your thoughts on balancing either or, and of course you're in Samuel Drive, which is a deal that Verico and Terrence has done. And I'd love to, I know you're going to talk to him about this deal. Give me your thought process on one at a time remodels versus vacating an entire thing and leasing it up. I mean, you're going to be missing that income, but you might get some more speed. I mean, what do you think? Give me your
Here's what I like about the second option. We plan to lease these new units up at 1050, but if we do one building at a time, that first building is going to come into a construction site. They're going to be mixed in with tenants across the parking lot that are not 1050 per month tenants. So there's a little bit of a mix there, right? And so I like the idea of the second option because we can vacate everybody, which we have the ability to do so with mostly everybody on month to month. And then the whole GC team can come in. They can work on site. They can do this. He actually has his team living in one of the units as they're finishing up everything else, so they can finish more quickly. And so he can typically do about 2 units per week. So 8 units per month. If he can do all the interior renovations on a 3 to 4 month basis and then finish the exterior in a month and a half, first off.
Hold that thought. My
Yep.
youngest is playing the piano.
Okay.
Hey, buddy, Galen, let's hold off for a little bit, okay? Thank you. Home office, piano
I love it,
practice.
man. I
He'll
love
get
it.
back to it in 12 minutes here. Um,
So I like the second option because you're going to bring in higher quality tenants into a brand new apartment complex, and they're going to all be living amongst each other in some capacity. So that's why I like the second strategy. The only reason we wouldn't maybe go with that is because uh, we want to have a solid relationship with the bank that we're partnering on, and we've begun to solidify that. And so they might deem it a little bit more risky if we go forward with that strategy. So that's the only reason maybe why we wouldn't do that. And we like the idea of having some income coming in. So
yeah.
it's something that we're toying with and something that we're still debating on. But we're going to have plenty of interest reserve carry on the loan if we go with the second strategy of vacating everybody. And that's our plan moving forward, is to
Okay.
have that amount. Yep.
And you've put both scenarios on the bank's desk, I'd assume, and they're going to give you feedback.
Yep. Yep. They just
What
presented it to their executive team.
Okay.
And they're doing it this week. Yep.
Speaking of lending, that's my shtick here. So let's talk loans. Like what's as is, if you didn't do squat, as the property sits, what's the DSCR as it sits?
As the DSCR as it sits is 1 second here.
Because the bank's going to look at that, right?
Yeah. The DSCR as it sits, let's just say we account for, actually, the DSCR as it sits is 1.2. It's like almost right on the dot. Yeah. At 1.2. Based on what the current, based on the current guy's financials and how he's running the property, that's how it sits on the T12. Yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a severely distressed asset. I'll tell you that.
I think he's just got favorable, very, very good financing on it. I think also he had more cash in on the deal at the end of the day, and he bought it at a much lower basis. But there's been plenty of deferred maintenance over the last 2 years. Yeah.
Well, the lender has to feel really good about that, right? Just the pure fundamentals at 1.2. I mean, there's been plenty of lenders. I know lending's tightened up and they want to see higher DSCRs, of course. But the past 5-10 years, you could get a loan pretty easily at a 1.2.
Yeah.
So where's it going to be when you're all done with your magic?
Yeah. So we're looking at about 1 point. Let me see here. So the good thing is when the bank underwrote it, they were coming in at 1.5.
Okay.
So we're looking at we've got ours coming in at about 1.4 at post renovation.
Okay.
So that's based though on a 9% interest rate. Okay.
Yeah.
If we're in a lower interest rate environment, and one of the things that we're doing on the financing on this is we are going to go with a floating rate loan. And the reason being is because it's going to be capped. The bank's willing to cap it for no extra cost at 9%. We were getting fixed rate. We were getting fixed rate quotes at 8.25 to 8.5 on the bridge construction loan on the whole thing.
I think that's worth it, right? You're hedging your downside by that cap. And yeah, 9 sounds like a big number, but relative to what you're able to lock, what's the AM schedule?
25 years.
25. Awesome.
Yeah.
What's the term, like 5 years?
So that's one other thing we're debating, 3 or 5 years. And here's the reason being, okay, there's going to be an exit fee if we decide to be opportunistic and we can exit this on 3 years. So if we get a 5-year term, it's going to be a 3-3-3-2-1 exit fee structure on a 5-year term.
Okay.
So if we hold it to the 4th year, that exit fee goes down to that 2%, which we like. If we hold it to the year 5, it goes down to 1%. But if we get a 3-year term and we can sell in year 3, we'll be good. However, if we have to extend it, the net exit fee structure starts over at 3% in year 4. That's what the bank will do. So then we'll get hit with that if we sell in year 4 or 5. So it's something that we're debating, and you're the lender guy, so maybe you could provide some insight into that. But
Well, I
we're going
would,
to take a look at different term sheets on both and see what we want to move forward with.
yeah, I would just. This is a problem of probability, right? So, what's the probability of an exit in 3 years versus what's the probability of an exit in 5 years? I haven't done
Yeah,
the math on this one, but off the top of my head, I think the probability is higher in 5 years.
I think
Because
so.
yeah, I mean we're seeing some distress assets in multifamily show up as debt, short term debt has adjusted, especially starting in this quarter. Um, but this is not one of those distressed assets. This is just an underutilized asset, and so you're buying it at it's just a good deal. I look at it, from what I can tell, this is a good deal. This isn't a screaming on fire, oh my god deal, but it's a pretty darn good deal as far as I can tell. And so I just, I the way the economy is going and the projections, and what I'm seeing other syndicators and other like what Terrence is looking at, he's looking at 5+ year deals.
Mhm.
Obviously, I can't speak to him, but the limited exposure I've had to him and other syndicators and under other fund managers, none of them are penciling their deals realistically at 3 years. So I think it's wishful thinking. Hey, and if it happens, listen, if it happened, let's say you could exit in 3 years, and that 3-point hit killed it, right? Then it's really not that great of an exit, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, in the worst case scenario, and as I've underwritten everything, it's been on a 5 year. So the
Okay.
worst case scenario is we hold on to it. We've got we've got a stabilized asset way beyond 1.2 DCR, probably with some cheaper debt at the time, because the interest rates I feel very strongly will be lower than 9% in 3 years. uh, and so at the worst case scenario, we'll exit this in year 5, deliver a 15% IRR to investors at a 1.8x equity multiple. And so with the investors that we're working with, they're excited about that. I'm excited about it. And if we can be opportunistic, we'll be opportunistic on a 3 or 4 year mark. So we'll see. And if we are able to, the IRR will just get better.
Have you gotten any rough estimates on the cost seg, like initial, hey, you might get 30 cents, you might get 40 cents on a dollar, anything like that from your guy yet?
Yeah, 251,000 in year 1 depreciation.
So what's that? You're raising $1 million, so 25 cents on the dollar?
We'll probably raise about 800 to $820,000.
Okay, so a little better than
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That's preliminary. We gave him, purchase price, address. That was the proposal that he sent over. Of course, there will be some more depreciation in following years, but that's what we're kind of coming in at a super high level estimate on year
Yeah.
1.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice, man. What else do we got?
Yep.
Keep going. Anything else?
Yep. Yeah. So let me skip through here. So another big value add component here that is not included from an income standpoint, I highlighted the $120,000 in potential rental income for the year. There's no pet rents currently. Let's just say that's a third of the property. Now, I have not included pet rents into the underwriting because it's a hard one to guess. We might get those numbers from the property manager and plug in like a rule of thumb. But at the end of the day, if we can get those pet rents, it'll just be over and above what we're originally expecting, which is good. There's currently no bill back on the water and trash. So we'll do a fixed $50 per unit bill back to the tenants, which comes up to an additional $15,000 in income on the property for the year, over and above the rental income that we're projecting.
And when you're doing these rent calculations, you're looking at, you're talking to the property manager. Where are you placing those relative to the market? In the top 10%, in the top 20%, average? What do you, where are you getting that number?
I mean, we're looking at the comps in the area. If you include some of the build back, they're about 1080 to 1200
Okay.
on some of the comps in the area. And some of those properties are not necessarily fully renovated. They might have white appliance packages, but the black appliance packages that we're going for is going to get that extra 50 bump or so, right? So we're really, like I said, talking to the property manager on this. I'd say we're probably a little bit on the spectrum as far as maybe top 20%. That's kind of what I want to say.
Okay.
I like 1050, but there's some comps that are a little bit less. There's also some that are more,
Okay.
and so, but when we spoke with the property managers, we spoke with two different ones that manage thousands of units in that area. And we said, hey, look, we're thinking 950 on this. And they're saying, if you can renovate this, you're going to easily get $1,000. You'll probably get upwards of 1050 to 1100
Okay.
by the time you're ready to go. Yeah. So again, just leveraging their expertise in the market.
Yeah. I mean, they're the ones who are going to be leasing it. So they're the ones
Yep.
that are going to know.
Yeah.
When
Exactly.
should investors expect cash flow? 12 months, 18 months?
Yeah, great question. So this is going to be kind of like a typical Ironton Capital type of project here, and the partners that we partner with.
Okay.
There's going to be there's going to be a preferred return accrual. There's just not going to be much income to be shown in year one. Your preferred return is going to accrue at 8%, and we're going to owe it to you in following years. So let's say we finish up in year one. When I'm looking at the waterfall, come year two, there's going to be some cash flow. There's not going to be enough to pay up to the 8%. So the bulk of the returns on this are going to be capital gains. There's not going to be much cash flow. It's just going to accrue each year,
Okay.
and then we'll pay out likely when we're able to sell. Probably when we're able to refinance up to that 70% loan to value is when investors will get a chunk back, maybe in year three, and then
Okay.
in years 4 and 5, there may be some cash flow in years 4, but the most of it's going to be coming in the form of capital gains come year 5.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Nice. Put that there. Okay. So it's late in the year.
Yep.
Late in the year, you have investors, you have LPs out there hunting. They're playing the cat and mouse game with their depreciation plays.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, are you experiencing that? Do you have call? Listen, I know I've called your boss. I've called Lon and been like, Lon, I need some depreciation shares, and he hooked me up. Are you getting calls like that? Are you hearing that from your investors? Hey, it's we've got a couple months left, and people who are playing that depreciation game might be on the hunt. If what do we think? What do we say? 30 cents on the dollar on this one,
Yeah.
approximately.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you hearing that from investors too, or do you're kind of a seasoned guy now? Is that what you're experiencing late in the year?
Yeah, I mean, on the Ironton Capital side, yeah, for sure. On this one, one of our investors is a self-directed IRA guy. He's kind of new to this, so he doesn't understand it a ton. The investors that we've spoken with, they're not, hey, I need to do this because I need depreciation, or I need to capture depreciation. You're the one that's done that, of course. Maybe some of your investors probably need the depreciation as well, but I'd say it's more of a 50-50 balance as far as what we've had in regards to this deal. But on the Ironton Capital side, yeah, people want depreciation. They need it now. They sold a property and they need to capture it before it changes to the new
Yep.
structure next year. Yep.
Nice. All right. What's the equity raised?
The equity raised right now, firm commitments of 225. We need about 600 more. Our partner Arthur said he had verbal commitments of 300. That's left to be determined. So we still have a good chunk of equity that we need to raise for this deal. And then depending on the amount that you hypothetically or might invest, of course. So we'll have a much better picture, I think, in a couple weeks as far as this one goes and where we're
Yeah.
at.
When do you when do you need the money? When do you need? I mean, obviously, you want the commits as soon as you can. When do you
Yeah.
want to close this thing? When do you need the cash? When does your money go hard? Give me all that.
Yeah, so we did go hard on 25,000
Okay.
to get to negotiate the purchase price down from a 2.05 million to a 1.95 million.
Okay.
So that left us with essentially a free unit. So we're paying $78,000 a unit on this property here. So the original closing date was November 10th. There's no
Okay.
way that's happening. So we're going to be looking to extend that to November 24th, around that time before Thanksgiving is what we'll be looking at.
Okay. Cool.
Yep.
How do people get a hold of you?
Yeah, they can shoot 412-848-7668. That's the best way to get a hold of me. That's my cell phone number. They can email me at Nick at Ironton Capital. That's where I manage my calendar and pretty much most of my communications.
Okay.
So they can get a hold of me there as well.
All right. Perfect. Any last gems of wisdom on this one, Mr. Elder?
I don't think so. I mean, just high level, the financial overview, 15 to 19% is what we're projecting on the IRR. Of course, the year hold affects that 15% being on the lower end at a 5-year hold. Equity multiple, we're looking around 1.8 to 2.2x. Again, depending on the time period we hold it in. And 3 to 5 years is what we're giving as a range here. I really like giving a range because we don't know where the economy is going to be in 2 years, 3 years. We can kind of see where we're at now and historically better understand where we're going to be in 3 or 4 years. But I want to make sure I'm providing a range to investors so that they can reasonably have different sets of expectations, with the worst case scenario being a 5-year hold at a little bit lower of an IRR.
Right. So 5-year, worst case scenario, 5-year hold at 9%.
Yep, exactly.
I forgot to ask, what's your LTV on this one? 70, 60?
Our loan to cost is about just under 75%.
Okay. LTC at 75. Yeah. Okay. Sounds like that bank is playing ball. Sounds like they're reasonable.
I've learned that local banks are great to talk to. And this is why we talked to 2 banks that know the area very well. They know the growth in the area. I think a lot of the banks that are unwilling to lend right now, they're in a bind because they were willing to lend to everybody a couple years ago. And so now they're in a sticky situation and they don't have excess capital to lend on value add projects. And I found that is not necessarily the case with this bank. And one of the questions I asked in Lawhead was, if, I said, we've got banks in Colorado that are unwilling to lend. They're not doing deals like this. You've got some banks, obviously, in Arkansas that are the same. How are you guys open to lending and being a little bit more aggressive where other banks are not? And it just came to really their exposure and leverage to some of this debt. They're a little bit more conservative. So I think they've taken a more conservative approach over the last couple of years, and they weren't aggressive in lending to every person that wanted to buy something.
Yeah.
And so they've got the ability to lend on deals like this. And so we spoke to 2 banks that liked the deal. They saw the potential. They saw the growth. Obviously, right here, you can see why I think some banks are willing to lend on properties. I mean, Fayetteville, Arkansas market's just exploding. There's almost 6% year over year rent growth. One of the top cities in the United States, one of the most affordable places to live. And so that's why I like local banks. They recognize the opportunity. They live there. They can drive past the property, and they have a different tangible perspective than maybe a broker, such as somebody that I spoke with in Colorado, that was giving me completely different information. And so that's why I like the banks. That's why I like the local banks. And it's always good to talk to those folks because, what's applying nationally isn't always what's applying locally. And that's, I think, especially true with the Northwestern Arkansas market.
No, I couldn't agree more. I mean, my love for small regional banks, right?
Yep.
They've done right by me and my partners for many, many years. And you actually have a chance to have a real relationship with them, a real personal relationship. And if they can drive by the property, especially like you said, if they've been playing it relatively conservatively for the past few years, if they haven't gone bonkers the last 5 years, they've just been busy, then they've got some room, right?
Yep.
No,
totally.
That's great.
Yeah.
Nick,
so great opportunity, man. Looking forward to it. We love the returns. One thing I wanted to mention too, Ironton Capital invested in a deal 30 minutes up north up in Bentonville. So love that there's some exposure with them in that market. It's a great market and we're excited to be a part of it. And we want to buy more, of course. But we're going to close this one out first.
Awesome, man. Hey, I appreciate the time. I appreciate you bringing this deal to me. We will be talking soon, my friend. Thank you.
Sounds good. Appreciate the time.
Adios.
Adios.